Hey YouTube, this is Prometheus giving you guys more than the meta. Guys, I want to go ahead and show you how I use my double schemes to read the coverages pre-snap. And usually about 90% of the time, I'm going to read the defensive coverage correctly. This is actually something that's been going around in the Madden community, but I've seen players that really understand football knowledge, understand how to play the game of Madden, but don't know how to do this. They don't know how to read the coverages. So if you guys are looking for ways to be more efficient on your offense, this is something you definitely want to pay attention to in how I read coverages and how I can tell what type of coverage I'm going to be facing. One thing I can share with you is this is a particular game I was playing against an opponent, and this guy was ice cold on offense. And it always stresses you out if you got a guy that basically is constantly scoring touchdowns. It puts the stress on you to score yourself. So if you're ice cold on offense, people make more mistakes on, basically on offense themselves if they know that they have to score and they have to make plays. So that is going to be a position. It's going to put you in a situation where you're going to be better on offense and coincidentally better on defense too. So want to just basically show how this particular scheme works. Once again, I do have the whiteboard. My opponent's using Jacksonville. I'm using the Bengals on offense and defense, and I'm using West Coast as my offense. So right here, I just want to show you basically how I read coverages and make a determination of this. Now, if you guys go to my Patreon, you could see me break down how I use doubles to read coverages. Very simple and stuff like that. But what I really do is I'm looking first and foremost at the shell up top. If it's a single high safety, it's going to either be basically a cover 3, a 1, or maybe some type of a 0 blitz. So I know it's going to be one of those type of situations. So that means they're going to have one safety dropping up, or basically you're going to have these two guys dropping back into cover 3 coverage. Now, how I get more information is taking a look at the alignment of my defenders over my wide receivers. And if they're completely lined up straight, and these guys are straight lined up, that basically means it's most likely going to be some type of a cover 1 coverage. So what I'm reading is basically a cover 1 coverage when I see this coverage. So what I want to do is jump into one of my man beaters, and this is this play I've guys showed you before. It's Z spot. Basically, I'm going to go ahead and smoke up my one guy and put the other guy on a whip route. I have this smoke route right here to pull this defender down. That will open up this passing lane right here. I've also got this whip, which should get outside leverage, and basically I'll be able to hit it and turn it up the sideline. And then I have this dig route that I'm going to be looking right around here in this particular area. So let's just go ahead and watch this play and see how things break down. So you can see this guy comes down, so that basically I did read it correctly. I'm going to have this area that's going to come out, and if I get leverage, I can pass that. And then I've got basically the whip concept, and then I've got the dig concept above it that I can hit. So I'm looking off to the whip. I always go and check down the whip because it's just a very annoying pass to do this. The timing's really good. And right here, I basically turn it up. Now look at this. His user gets tied up on my other wide receiver. And because of it, he gets himself out of position, and I'm able to go ahead and house this with the 94 speed with Chase and get a one-play touchdown on a simple, 3-yard whip route. So that's how I run that particular play, and as you can see, it was actually the right coverage. Now, going into the second series on offense, I want to show you, look at the way these guys are aligned. I've got a 2 high safety, so this is either a 2 or a 4 coverage, so it's either a 2-man or basically a cover 4 coverage based on how these guys are aligned. So because I've got these two guys, they're more likely going to drop back like so, or they're going to drop back like so. Okay, so I know that they're all going to drop back in the cover 4 based on looking at the safety alignment. Now, what you want to do is you want to look at the shading of the defenders. So I've got this guy slightly shaded to the outside. I've got this guy slightly shaded to the outside at 5-yard depth. So that's kind of like, it is a tell that's telling you this is going to be a cover 2. But my other thing that really locks us in as cover 2 is this guy, this defender is shaded on the inside because he's playing a hook zone right here in this type of situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into a cover 2 beater because it's going to be a cover 2 coverage that I'm expecting. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into basically cover 2. So the way I set this cover 2 up is I've got these 2 post routes. I'm going to be looking for this area right here, and then I've got this route that's going to go underneath it. I can check that if the defenders all float up. And then I've got this wheel route underneath it that if the defenders float up, the wheel should be available for an easy completion. So that's how I'm looking at the coverages right here against cover 2. Sure enough, you see the guys float up. These guys are floating back in their deep halves. So I can look to this seam route right here, but you can see his user is taking away that read. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look to my next progression. I could check this down and get some good yards right there, but I decided to go with basically these two defenders, splitting these two defenders, and that's the area I go with the ball, getting rid of it and checking it down and picking up almost a first down with that. So as you can see, it was cover 2, and we're going to keep marching this ball down into the red zone with this gameplay. So now I've got a single high safety. So this is going to be a cover 3 type of a shell, and one of the reasons I see this is that these guys are lined up correctly, but look at this guy slightly shaded to the outside. When I see that, it's going to give me a cover 3 tell. That's what I'm going to see with cover 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jump into a route play that I like to use for against cover 3, and it's this tight end curls. And basically what I like to do is I like to streak this guy up, and I'm going to have a backside check down that's going to come back to the backside. So let's just go ahead and get the play set up. So here's my first read. Against cover 3, this guy should let me go. And I'm going to go ahead and try to hit that as my big play. If not, I'll go to my 2 right here, and then I have this would be like my 3 over the middle of the field, and I've got this guy coming around. This would be my 4, so it's going to be my 4th progression. But I want to go ahead and see if this is available. If the defenders all float up, I'll check it down. If they're not floating up, then I'll just, if they're not floating up and this guy gets usered away or manned up, I'm going to go ahead and look for this post, and then obviously this crossing route underneath it with my progressions. So just go ahead and take a look at it. At the snap of the ball, he's usering over my guy right here, so usually I stay away from users. I don't like throwing towards users. So I actually made my next, went out to my next progression. You can see he's taking that away. I probably could have swung back around, but I just generally, if he takes away my first read, I just don't try to come back to it, or because what that does is it forces me, it makes me more likely to force a play in if I wait for a route to get open. So that's not my preference. So I'm going to actually check it down on the edge, which actually is a smart idea because this guy's coming around the edge. He's unblocked. This blocker is not coming out. He's completely whiffing on it. So I'm going to go ahead and check it down, and you can see right here I pick up a good 10 yards and get out of bounds. So that's a successful play for me. So 3 for 3, 94 yards and 1 touchdown against my opponent based on some of the reads I'm having so far. All right, so what do you guys see? I'm seeing cover 2. And the reason I'm seeing cover 2 with this is because I got 2 high safeties. They're probably going to float back. This guy's shaded to the outside. This guy's shaded to the inside. This guy's shading to the outside. So this is basically a cover 2 shell. And I'm going to go ahead and jump. I think I jump into a different play that I don't really feature, but basically this is a quick snap play. It's good against cover 2. This guy's going to get past this yellow zone, and he's going to get leveraged out because he's got a deep half. So I'm going to go ahead and get a nice little completion for maybe about 20 yards right down the seam as a quick snap play. So I don't even let my player get settled. I'm just going to wait for that route to actually open up, and you can see how this defender actually gets himself out of position, and he curves into the ball, giving me a good completion right there and picking up a first down based on the reads that I'm looking at. So that's cover 2, as you can see. Right here I've got like off coverage. I think this is man coverage. It is. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the whip route. His guy is right here against the whip, so he can slide into that route. So I usually try to stay away from that. So man coverage. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this corner route on the backside. Why I like to use this particular play against people who use a lot of man coverage is that it gives me fast progressions, but it stretches the field horizontally. He has to play both zones, and he's going to have to throw some type of a hybrid coverage or drop a guy and to take away some of my reads. So right here I'm getting a nice little completion with Hurst and get into the end zone. So that was actually, I think it was a cover 4 coverage. Right here, this is cover 3. Okay, so the reason I'm seeing cover 3, we've got a single high. So these guys are going to drop back into coverage. He's down in the red zone too. But look how this guy's slightly shaded on the inside. That's telling me it's cover 3 when I see that type of a coverage. So basically, I'm going to go ahead and use the scheme I did previously, but I'm going to be looking for that corner route down in the red zone. And you can see this guy's, he's 20 yards out, so this is a nice little completion they actually have against cover 3. And I'm looking, this is my 1 right here. This is where I'm looking at, and I'll drop down to maybe the 2 underneath, and I've got my 3, and then I'll actually go ahead and do the crossing route with a 4 on the other side. So just kind of go from there. Looking at the triangle is my read. He pulls himself out. So in other words, I'm going to go ahead and look to the sideline. He's not aggressively throwing that. So I'm going to hit that ball. He doesn't get out there in time, and I'm able to go ahead and get a touchdown. So here we go. This is one of the times that I actually make a bad play. He's using a 34 odd defense, which most people don't use 34 odd. As a base defense, just because it's more of a run-oriented defense. He's using cover 4, and I misread this coverage. I just didn't see it correctly. I saw this guy press down. These guys are back. Didn't make a correct read, but I'm going to go ahead and just use my man beaters based on the alignments. And here we go. We've got the whip. We've got basically smoke route. He's clouding up the line right here. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this route. This guy pushes out. Then it means he's going to play the sideline, so I'm not going to go and hit that. I started looking at the dig, but this guy's floating up, and his user's in this area, so if I throw this route, I'm likely to get picked off too. So I go ahead and press it to the outside. I throw this area right here, but this defensive back, I don't know what he was playing. And he might have been playing some type of a cloud flat with zone drops, but this defensive back played this particular route perfectly and came down and actually picked me off and got that ball. So he might have had played some type of a hybrid coverage based on that. I misread the ball against cover 4. I probably should have put like some comeback route and a streak on that route, but it was just a misreading for what I was doing. I didn't see this guy played a lot of man in cover 2, but didn't roll in cover 4 against me. So press look right here. Basically, this guy's locked up. This guy's pressed. He's pressed. Too high shell. This is screaming man coverage to me, as far as what the coverages are concerned. And I think he's doing a robber defense, so that actually gets one guy down and another guy up. But I'm going to go ahead and run with my man beaters in this type of situation. And you can see this guy actually comes down. The other guy drops up. So it is a robber defense. And basically, I'm going to take a look at this progression right here. So you can see the whip route is actually double teamed. I could wait for this route to clear. But for some particular reason, I decided to go ahead and throw this route right here. And the spot route carries and then comes back into the middle of the field. So actually, there was a good decision, because if I waited for that one route to try to come over on this side, I could have been throwing it to the spot. So right here, get leverage, get underneath the defensive back, break a tackle, pick up some more yards right here in this type of situation. So just trying to get the ball down to the red zone. Right here, we're actually running with basically man press. It looks like it's cover 2 man across the board. But this guy's running a lot of hybrid coverages against me now. He's actually doing stuff where he's trying to break the coverages against me, manning up this guy underneath. I got the whip route. I've also got the dig. Those are open routes to me. But he's nobody on the running back, because he's got a spy out here trying to take away one of the reads. So I check it down underneath and turn it up for a nice little gainer of 7 yards in that type of situation. So he's actually was in cover 4, so the coverage was a little bit different just because they pressed on the inside and I didn't read it correctly. But if I make progressions correctly, that's all that really matters, is for the most part. So right here, once again, I'm looking at man reads right here. I'm going to go ahead and try to take a shot up top. So I streak this guy up, and when I do that, I might get leverage and get past the defender, but really what I'm looking at first is I want to see if this guy shoots out and plays that deep half. If he stays down, or if he goes up or in the middle, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can hit this guy over the top. Now Boyd is not a fast wide receiver. He's not a kind of guy that's going to get past a lot of coverages, but sometimes he might get past them, and I can take a shot up top. So I'm going to watch. He uses this guy right here. That kind of freezes me. with the reads. So basically what I do is this defender slides out. This guy was over here, then slides back down. He's taking away my hot read with the corner route, and I can't really get above this particular read, so I'm going to go to the dig. So I've got the whip and I've got the dig concept, and this area is wide open for an easy completion, and the defender that could have been floating in that zone actually comes down. So this guy's running a lot of kind of hybrid coverages against me, and just running, using the defensive end to kind of mess things up. So he did deliberately actually put some kind of a guy down here, but because I've got my progressions down, it makes it difficult for him to stop that type of stuff. So right here, I'm seeing man press. He's running a lot of cover one. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to hit this shot over the top. Now how I make my progression is I'm looking at the safety. If the safety supports it, I'll go to my next read. If the safety comes in or stays down in the box, I'm going to go ahead and take that shot up top right here. So what I want to do is I want to motion this guy over and have a slant, just to basically open up this whole area. So I've got that one-on-one with this guy right here based on the man press. So you can watch, set this up, give myself another area to stretch the defender. So I put basically this guy right here on a streak. So if this guy floats back, he's going to have to respect the streak. And then I've got a slant underneath it. I've got an in, and I've got a wheel underneath it too. Is a way to go ahead and keep this going. So you can see right here, snap the ball, he mixes the play real quick, this guy slides up. All right, so now I've got the one-on-one I'm looking for right here, and I got my best wide receiver against maybe his average nickel back. This guy's got a step, he's not going to catch, so I'm going to go ahead and basically do a high ball pass, get myself a TD, get the ball in the end zone with that read. So that's basically how I'm reading, how I'm developing my schemes to try to get past a lot of coverages. But you can see he was in cover one hole, and he was basically just trying to catch me off guard. So that was actually a play he actually switched into. So now it's money time to get the ball in the end zone. I just spoiler alert, got in the end zone. He switched up his defense on me and it completely caught me off guard, and I made a bad decision. It wasn't necessarily the best defense or best offensive set. He's showing me cover 4 right now. I'm seeing cover 4, and here's the reason why. I've got this guy up deep. This guy's deep. This guy's deep. But look at this defender right here. This defender is shaded on the inside. So I'm expecting cover 4, but I've got this guy shaded on the inside. The way I'm going to set this play up is I'm going to try to hit this guy as my first read. I'm going to streak up this guy as my second, and then I'm going to have a wheel underneath it for a third read. Quickly went ahead and make adjustments here. I'm going to set that wheel up with the running back to give me a check down, and to see how this guy just slides right out. I anticipated that. He's stuck on this guy, maybe probably trying to put some hybrid defense out here. Here's my hole to hit this particular route. Threw it right into that route, and I'm able to go ahead and get a completion and keep going. So no huddle. He's in the same defense. He doesn't make any kind of adjustment at all. I'm going to go set this up once again. Now I'm anticipating he's going to play this because he's been picking up on my tendencies. So I've got this streak route right here, and I've got a wheel underneath it. And you can see right here, of course, he takes this route away. He's going to play that seam. I'm going to try to go ahead and get a completion right over the top here. Now the problem with this play setup is that this route, this angle route, angles like this, he comes in real flush and then comes back out again. Probably your best way to run this route is to do another streak, and what that does is it stresses out this half where he has to play that streak route right there. So that's probably something I should have done, but I didn't. And right here I throw right over the top his defender. If I probably would have highballed that and waited maybe a split more second, I would have got that completion down the middle of the field. So that was just too much of a fast read. And you can see he's actually in cover 6. So with the cover 6 coverage, he basically had it set up. So right here, shaded on the inside, lined up, and we got this guy lined up perfectly. So this is basically cover 4. That's what I'm seeing as far as the coverage is concerned. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same type of a play. looking for the seam over here or over here is where I'm looking to, and then I have the underneath route. If I wait, and sure enough, he uses away Chase's route, so he takes away this seam. So I'm going to go try to go and hit this guy right here. And as we let the play progress, I try to throw a completion, but he does not come down with it. It should have highballed the pass, but you can see the defender plays it perfectly. So I'm in a 3rd and 10 situation, but look at the alignments now. Now he switches things up a little bit. These guys are outside leverage. These guys are outside leverage. This guy is outside leverage too. So this is actually, when you have an outside leverage in the slot person, it's basically telling me it's going to be some type of a cover 3 zone for the most part. That's typically what we see. So this is some type of probably a cover 3 show 2. When I see something like that, I'm going to go ahead and jump into a cover 3 beater. And that cover 3 beater is going to be tight end post. And how I set this up is like so. I want to clear out that cover 3, and I'm going to have a check down that's going to drag underneath it. And my first read is going to be this guy, underneath 2, 3, and then 4 is my progressions. But he never actually comes out to chase on the sideline. And you can see this is basically a cloud coverage. So you've got cloud coverage right here. This guy rolls up. This guy rolls up. He goes up to deep pass. And then we have a bunch of yellow zones underneath. But watch what happens on the sideline. Right here, the sideline's wide open. I get a completion. You get a first down on a 3rd and 10. So just reading the coverage in advance really helped a lot. So the last couple plays here, he's showing me man press. This is basically 3-3. I jump into this play, which is a deep corner. The guys switch. I don't necessarily like that. I like to get into a set right away and not get a guy too much time to set this up. But you got the slant underneath, and then you've got this deep post. I like these concepts. I like this post. I've also liked this underneath slant. They're really good. I put a little wheel route just as a window dressing, but this is really not the best play for this defense. I probably should have went into a different play. But right here, I get nice separation by the tight end. This might be just late game, mechanics, and I'm able to go ahead and get the ball down to the 8-yard line. So I'm in a situation where I could tie this game or basically score it up. So this is where the wheels fell off right here. This is how I misread this coverage. So he's got 2 high safeties right here. This guy's pressed perfectly aligned. This guy's pressed perfectly aligned, but this guy's shaded slightly inside. So I'm thinking this is some type of a cover 4 coverage, maybe some type of a man coverage that he might be disguising and stuff like that. I don't read this correctly. So basically what happens is I decide to go ahead and jump into a play that I typically don't use. I haven't used in the entire game. Just wanted to go ahead and see if I can hit this corner. So I'm actually anticipating this guy, the blitz, and this route to essentially, basically, this guy's going to be blitzing. This guy's going to be locked up on man coverage, and I'm actually going to have this corner out on the backside. Now, the reason why I'm thinking blitz is because he comes out into this heavy package right here, and I'm thinking he's going to go ahead and do some really aggressive man blitzing, and I'm expecting him spending a bunch of people to me because he hasn't blitzed the entire game, but now's the time to do that. He wants to basically tie this game up. So that's what I'm anticipating, but he doesn't do this. He hits me with a coverage that I didn't see the entire game, which is smart by him. So I jump into a play I haven't showed him the entire time. I smoke up this guy right here, so this is going to pull the defender down, and this is going to give this area wide open right away. He pulls his guy down, so basically this should be wide open and an easy completion to be able to hit that. Let the ball progress. I should be blocking my running back in this type of situation, but I didn't do that, and sure enough, this is what happens. This guy slides up and starts playing the sideline. I think he's playing a cloud flat. This guy slides over here. I had a lane right here. He was using this away, so that froze me a little bit. So I'm froze on that. I don't want to throw that. I can't throw this route because this guy's sitting right here. So now I swing back around to the other side. So I've got a flat and I've got a dig underneath it, and I swing around to the other side, and I missed my window. I should have threw this now. Basically split second earlier, maybe low ball this pass. You see the defender gets in front of it, knocks the ball into his defender's hands, and he's able to get an interception. So the reason I messed up on this is because it was a cloud coverage. It was inverted. It wasn't what I was expecting to see, because he had a tendency throughout the entire game. He didn't really switch things up, but he did switch it up at money time, and it was a really good decision. But I misread the coverage. But for the most part, 95% of the time, I'm reading the coverage correctly and making the right decisions. I hope you guys pick something up from this. This is just a strategy that I use just basically to help me read coverages and make better decisions in gameplay. So if you guys like this stuff, thank you once again for your support. I'll be rolling out some more offensive and defensive tips. I'll show you some more of this West Coast playbook and how I succeed with it. So thank you for your support, guys. Until next time.